Well, good evening and good evening and good evening. This is your girl, RenaeThaDiva, and this is Let's Talk About It, a weekly podcast where we discuss things going on in our community, in our neighborhoods, and all throughout the nation. So let's get to it, shall we? Let's start with, first of all, saying thank you to our sponsors. We have Legacy Collection. I will post a link after the show because I am actually in a different location today, which is awesome. And then we also have, of course, SEDM, which is Southeast and Mr. Kenneth Brown. So we say thank you to all of our sponsors. Let's get to it, shall we? If you are interested in sponsoring Let's Talk About It, you can email us at legacyentstudios@gmail.com, and we'll be happy to get you our sponsorship package, okay? So tonight, I do have a special guest by the name of Mr. Kenneth Brown. If you are on my personal page, you may have seen him or heard him a little bit earlier. He can't come live on camera, but he is on audio. So we'll talk to him shortly, okay? Let's talk about some news and some sports. So we definitely want to give prayers up to our former president. I don't know if you've seen it last week on our podcast due to some technical difficulties, but someone did attempt to assassinate him yet again. And our president and vice president did send their, speak out and send them prayers, saying that, they were definitely speaking against violence. They don't condone the violence at all. Versus if, and again, this is my opinion, you can say what you wish, but my opinion would be if it was the opposite way around, if someone was trying to assassinate Ms. Kamala Harris, I think that, that person that is also running for president would have an opposing thing to say. That's what I'll say, and I'll leave it at that. So in other news, here locally, there is a self-proclaimed activist that is in the media, and he is in the media not for positivity. He is in the media because he is on a Ring camera abusing his pregnant girlfriend, fiance, whomever you wish to call her. And what I will say to that is this: simply get help. Get help. Domestic violence is never okay, whether it's a man abusing a woman or a woman abusing a man or someone abusing a child. Domestic violence is never okay. And there is help. I know that a lot of that can be generational curses or generational, but it is still a learned behavior. You have a choice to make things different. On to other news. Let's talk about Mr. T.I. and Miss Tiny. They won their lawsuit. There was a lawsuit that's been going on for a number of years now where they were being sued by a major retailer saying that they were infringing with their group, the LOL or OMG Girls. Needless to say, they won upwards of $71 million, a little bit over actually. So we say thank you for all the judicial system. This stuff is never fun. I'm sure they were just simply trying to do what they do with entertainment. Plenty of people have negative things to say about T.I. and Tiny, but we wish them the best in whatever they decide to do as far as being positive influences. In sports, my Colts, they finally won. They won this past Sunday against the Chicago Bears, which has been a long time rival. We actually sit right next to Illinois, so we definitely go back and forth and beat for Chicago. But anyway, the Colts pulled it out. They play again. I think they just need to get their mojo. I look forward to the Colts going to the playoffs and maybe even the Super Bowl. Let's go. You heard the prediction right here. Oh, let's talk about it. Our Indiana Fever, the NBA team, has lost their first game in the playoffs. So come on, Fever, get it together. You ladies did so well during your regular season. Caitlin Clark has also been named, of course, Rookie of the Year, and she is being nominated for some MVP awards as well. So shout out to the Indiana Fever. You go. In other news, politically here in Indianapolis, at least, I know that we are having our gubernatorial elections on October the 2nd. I, again, will never tell you who to vote for. I will tell you, however, please make sure you do vote, okay? Your vote counts. Your voice needs to be heard. There are things going on in city levels, state levels, throughout our nation that are very important on the ballot. Not just the 25, vote 25 that's going on. There are other political things that are just basically trying to be snuck in. So make sure you do vote. Your vote does count. I want to give a shout out to Man's Girl. I had them for lunch today. And okay, so my inner chunky is speaking. But I had their strawberry shortcake made with angel food cake. And I was a little skeptical at first, but my friend said that, she actually likes it. And she actually is a professional baker and chef. So she did like it. I did like it as well. And shout out to Man's Grill. They are just a local favorite. They've been in business for years, and they actually do good work because they employ prisoners and work with the jail system, trying to get people back into society, coming from lives of being in prison. So shout out to Man's Grill. Okay, I have so much more that I can go into, but without further ado, I want to go ahead and introduce again to some and present to others, Mr. Kenneth Brown. Hi, Kenneth. How are you?
Hi, Renee. How are you doing? RenaeThaDiva.
I am just fine. I am just fine. Thank you for coming on, especially short notice. There we go. I appreciate you. We will have Miss Belinda Herring, the cake lady, on another time, and we look forward to hearing about her and her business. She does amazing work.
And shout out to her as well for not being able to make the program tonight. As far as short notice is concerned, United States Marines always do things at short notice, so it's a pleasure, and it's a pleasure to be on the show today.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So tell me a little bit about Mr. Kenneth Brown. Who is the man behind the suits and the Ashcots?
Let's see. I'm a model, fashion model. I've been a fashion model for many, many years. I hail from East Orange, New Jersey, by way of Camden, South Carolina, by way of Columbia, South Carolina. I spent maybe my younger years over here in Columbia, and then went on to Richland Northeast High School, from there to Tennessee State University. From Tennessee State University, I went into the military. I've been in the military from that point onward. And I did a lot of top secret hush-hush things while I was there. And then went into the reserves and stayed active duty for a long period of time. And then elevation occurred, and that was a really great thing. I am now retired from the United States Marine Corps. That was one of the greatest joys of my life. I flew around this world, literally, about 50 times, and I kissed everybody twice. I had a really, really great time in the military.
Awesome.
And I'm now an operator by trade for Richland County, and I was their first training officer ever, and that was a really good joy to do that. And after that stint was over, I went into private enterprise. I'm developing my own clothing line. As you see, a lot of the things that I do wear, I developed, etc. And I'm looking forward to expanding that a little bit further. And I'm very private. I'm a meat and potatoes kind of guy. I'm real down to earth with a lot of things. But first and foremost, I am a minister of God's church. I'm a minister for Sydney Park CME Church. Reverend Dr. Brown is my mother, and she's also one of the co-pastors there. And she was the reason that I wanted to get into ministry, to follow in her footsteps and follow in the footsteps of Jesus Christ. And that is pretty much about me. I'm just very simplistic by nature and very laid back about a lot of things. And I'm a jazz kind of guy. So that's me.
Awesome. Well, thank you for your service for sure. It definitely takes a lot of dedication and hard work being in any of our armed services, and you fight for our freedom. So we say thank you again. So you mentioned that you have a clothing line. Tell us more about that. How did you come about being the developer of your clothing line?
Well, I always watched fashion. I started reading GQ at a very young age. And the one thing that got me was the Gilded Age, Vanderbilt time frame, the way they dressed back then. And if I could have gone back in time, I think I would have been very successful in that age. Because it was all about fashion. And my grandparents always taught me that wherever you go, you dress up, because you never know who you're going to encounter. And my grandfather taught me how to tie my first tie. And he dressed very, very well. During that era, there was the thin ties. And he showed me how to tie a tie and a bow tie. Mm-hmm. And he showed me how to be a gentleman. And he read things to me. And my grandmother, very soft-spoken woman, said to me, you never, ever put your hand on a woman. You always dress the part. And whenever you go out to dinner, you make an effort to dress up. And that stuck with me all these years. And I decided to branch out into doing different things with fashion. So I started looking at what I had in possession of what I had. And when I was in college, I just like, what you see now is how I dressed in college. And it just stuck with me. And every time I go out to dinner, every time I go out anywhere, when I'm even dressed down and dressed up. To take it to the clothing line, I'm looking at different vendors, the way I like things designed, things that are form-fitting, et cetera. And that is classical, something very simplistic, not too much gaudy, but just enough to enhance where you are. So the picture that I sent you earlier is the way I dress all the time. That's just the way I do it. So I'm working with different vendors to try to get it off the ground. And the name preliminarily is going to be KB Renaissance Clothing.
Awesome. Okay. So we definitely look forward to seeing KB Renaissance Clothing. And, if you get something for us plus size curvy girls, I got you.
I will definitely do that for you. Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So tell us a little bit more about what you do as far as you are in marketing, you are in promoting, you do music promotions, you do a realm of different things where you actually help people.
Yes.
And then I also want to talk about your mission as far as helping the homeless. Could you tell me a little bit more about that?
I certainly will. As far as the marketing and promotions, I've been in customer service all my life. I'm a member of Phi Beta Sigma Fraternity Incorporated, and a part of our mantra is culture of service and service to humanity. That service to humanity, I take it very seriously, simply because we must be human to another human being. And that'll tie into the philanthropy in just a moment. But I truly believe that that's my calling, to help other people. And as a minister, you give them the living water and you give them the bread of Christ. Right. And so with that, amen. And so with that being said, that's how I approach things in customer service. So marketing came easy. I started doing Google Maps and Google about 3.5 years ago. And it's just doing reviews on restaurants and businesses. Well, 3 years, I'm at 31 million views.
Awesome.
And it's growing. Thank you so much. It is growing phenomenally. And before you know it, I'm going to be at 35, 36 million views. The goal is to get to 50 million views.
Look at God. That's amazing. That's amazing. Look at that viewership. Look at that viewership. So, being a Google influencer is not easy.
It is not.
I'm sure, and for those who are in social media marketing or in being an influencer or creator or whichever title you want to call it, being in this kind of media is not an easy task at all. So how do you balance that in work and life?
Well, you always have to have the life balance work. And I just put it this way: God, family, work. And I leave it there. Because those balances will come. Now, when I'm stressed, I just turn it around and make it desserts. So I just took that word, turned it around from negative to positive.
Look at that.
And so, just take the word stress and turn it completely around, and it says desserts. So everyone should have their just desserts. And so I look at everything from a positive standpoint. Now, was I always a positive guy? No. I was very cynical and very negative. But I saw something that Steve Harvey had written in a book. And it said that when you wake up, your brain cells kick in. And when you say, I'm tired, I'm not going to work today. Okay, Captain, it's a factory in your head. Said, okay, guys, shut it down. He's not going nowhere. Negativity then kicked in.
Right.
But then when you wake up on the positive side of bed, they start going to work. And so the first thing is, thank you, God. The moment I open my eyes, thank you, Lord. And then proceed with your day. I write down what I have to accomplish, the goals that I want to do, and how I'm going to be dressed when I approach it. If I'm working at U-Haul, I'm dressed as if I am the corporation's company officer with the uniform. And with customer service, addressing the needs of those customers when they come in. With SCDM, Southeast Dollars Matter, I go live to talk about customer service. Because as a trainer in the 911 environment, I have to vary the same thing, customer service. We take the word CPR, it's courtesy, professionalism, respect. So I had to teach all those things, suicide, et cetera, et cetera. So the average 911 operator in training spent 16 weeks with me. You just don't answer the phone. And I would bring the average person that has call center experience, plug them in, they're silent. I would be dispatching calls and handling 911 calls at the same time. 911, what is your emergency? I always breathe. I want to kill myself. Well, what's your name? And this person is sitting next to me, hearing me do this. And people have shot themselves on the phone. Very horrific scenes. And so we unplug. I put the assistant supervisor in charge. I'm dispatching calls at the same time. Bristol 123, going with the traffic stop. But ma'am, how are you going to hurt yourself? Can you put the weapon down? Bristol 123, 10-4 out there in that location for a traffic stop. And I'm back and forth. And so I said at the end of that, with the customer service in mind, you want to do this? No, I can't do that. There's no way I can do it. I said, yes, it is. I said, if you give me a week, I'm going to show you how to do it. And then I'm going to put you in training. That person is still there and is now a supervisor. So my point is, if you give someone the tools and you give them a little bit of encouragement and a lot of faith, they'll take it far. So she'll call me once a week. We talk. And she said, I want to thank you for saving my life.
Wow, look at God.
And she makes well over $100,000 a year because that's all she do is work. But she enjoys it. So here's the clue for those that are listening. If you're at a job and you get in your car and you look in your rearview mirror at yourself and you say, did I do a good job today? And you say, yes, come back. The moment you say, nah, I don't want to do it, don't come back. And I had to tell myself that every single day. Did you do a great job today, Kim? Yes, I did. Come back tomorrow. When I looked around, it was 20 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So definitely longevity there,
Yes.
as well as being in the military and doing everything else that you do.
Yeah.
So
with the marketing, let me get that point in. With the marketing, it's simple. It's a strategy. I have a strategy at CDM. I'm the only person that runs that page. But I set everything up that I need to have set up with through 2, 3, 4 o'clock in the morning when I'm asleep. It'll automatically drop it. So when I wake up 3 o'clock in the morning, I go back and review what I put, including music. So Southeast Dollars Matter now has its own playlist. Richard Lee Master, I call him the Grandmaster from Michigan. He loves old school music. He's a fraternity brother of mine. And Tapper Collins, who's my sorrow, and Zeta out of Charlotte, North Carolina. They both live in Charlotte. We love music. So he put together a playlist, and now we have our official playlist that we can go back and bounce to, add to, change up, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Old school music like Roger and Zapp.
Yes, because
more bounce to the house.
I'll be on your page and listening to the music and just jamming. I'll just tell you. I have my own workout, or especially music is a ministry. It's a mood. It really is a mood. It can alter your mood and all that fun stuff. So I definitely appreciate the music that you put out there.
Thank you.
I guess I have an old soul, as the old folks used to say.
Yeah.
No.
And music makes people feel good. So when I'm sad, I dance. When you feel sad, just dance. You'd be surprised how much you would laugh your soul if you just listen to a good tune and dance and put it on TikTok. Can you imagine a person that's feeling really, really bad and they start dancing and have a great time on TikTok? Next thing you know, they got 30,000 views.
You know it.
It's only because they took the time to get rid of the stress that made it dessert. Make sense?
And that's so poignant, because people don't realize how much of an influence you can have on others and how you can even change their day and change it for the good. And that's the thing. We want to be making sure that we're changing people's day for the good, not being energy vampires, as I call them.
Right. Daywalkers. I call them daywalkers. Lost Boys is my favorite movie. Thou Shalt Not Kill.
Yes.
Lost Boys. And I was a lost boy. I was a bad boy too. Terrible. Just awful. And it was like cynical on everything. Nah, I don't believe in that. Blah, blah, blah. But God hit me in the top of the head. And when he did, he woke me up. I like the little sound, Skirt. I could have done that. I could have done that for them cats. Skirt.
Yes.
Anyway, don't laugh at me. That's not funny. But I could have had a good time with that. And when he hit me in the head, he let me know, hey, you're built for something else. And that's when ministry stepped in and things of this nature. Yes.
Honestly, we all have a past. Some of the past, I'm sure everyone has, is not exactly always proud of, but it is what makes us who we are, and the thing of it is with everything we've gone through in life, you have to grow from that. You have to be the change agent. that you want others to be or to see. Make the change that you need to make or that needs to be made in our communities. The young people get such a bad rap these days. I'm not saying that all of us not deserving, but for the most part, there are very much still some very positive young people. And it's our responsibility as adults, as the older generations. I'm Gen X, you know what? But it's our responsibility, honestly, to grab these young men and women by the hand and kind of bring them along with us. It's like, this is why you shouldn't do this. This is why you shouldn't do this. This is why you shouldn't do this. I can honestly say, in my situation, I was raised, don't do it. And that made me want to do it. For the simple fact that, I was just told, don't do it, don't do it or not to do it, not exactly why, so when I'm talking to young men and women and mentoring them, I do try to give them the Renee version. I try to give them the spiritual version. And then I try to give them the hard, honest truth, period.
Right. And I feel the same way. Young people gravitate to me. I don't know why. They call me Unc, which is a sign of respect.
Yes, it is.
And some of them get past that and say, hey, man, how do you dress like that? Or why do you dress like that? I said, because I never knew I was going to meet you today.
There you go.
See, and I met them where they were, and they was like, really? And I said, yeah. I said, because I don't know who I'm going to encounter, and you always want to make a great impression. Speaking along, I went to a job fair just recently, and the bulk of the young people there, 90%, were wearing slides, bonnets, and they were talking to potential employers.
Wow.
And a young man came up to me. He was a Marine, and we did an interview. And he said, you see what I see? We turned away from our Caucasian brothers and sisters, and he was talking to me. He said, do you see what I see? And I said, yeah, I see it. I said, but this is how we make a difference. So a young man passed. I said, let me ask you something, young man. I said, why did you dress like this today? He said, man, I didn't have anything else to wear. You see where I'm going with that?
Right.
So you got to meet people where they are. But he had on a decent shirt and a pair of jeans. So the next guy that came up, I said, hey, can I ask you a question? I said, I'm not trying to get in your business. I said, but why did you dress like that today? He said, listen, man, I didn't think anybody was going to take me seriously.
Wow.
I said, hold on a second. Take your jacket off. Take your hoodie off. He had a shirt underneath. I said, put my jacket on. I said, tuck your shirt in. Put this pocket square in there. Put on my watch and go over to that table right there and see what happens. He got the job.
Wow.
So taking 10 seconds of my time to give him some articles that was going to help him impress because his hair was already nice. He had a clean-cut beard. He knew what he was doing. He just didn't have the wherewithal. He thought it was negative. He got the job. He came back over to me and the Marine standing there. He said, why did you do that? I said, because I'm a United States Marine. What we do is Toys for Tots. You got the Toys for Tots moment. He said, wow. He said, man, no one has ever done that to me before. And I said, we just did. He calls me every day now.
There you go.
And I'm going to teach him how to tie a tie. He's going to become my spiritual son. And I'm going to teach him how to tie a tie. I'm going to teach him how to approach. I'm going to teach him how to write his resume. And before you know it, he's going to own his own company.
That's it. Driven. That's it. And thank you for that. And I'm glad that young man was receptive to even receive it. There's something going on here in Indianapolis, and I was having this conversation with a girlfriend of mine earlier, and I think maybe even you and I talked about this, but our youth need positive things and positive influences and positive change. It can't always be us browbeating them saying, you're not doing this, you should do this, you need to do this, because they're very much not going to be receptive to that, first of all. And then second of all, it's just, there's a different way to go about it. These kids are truly different. They came up on technology, and for a lot of intents and purposes, a lot of them are very intelligent, very much geniuses, but their outward appearance, because everyone else is doing it, can very much deter people. So I definitely encourage people to get to know people for who they are, not just their outwardly appearance. Because even you were saying that one person said that's all they had to wear, and just going spiritual for just even a moment, God meets us where we are, so who are we to judge other people?
Exactly. God will meet you where you are on your Damascus Road moment, because you could be at your worst. You could be wearing a bonnet. You could be wearing a hoodie, and you you are feeling depressed because no one in your family told you that you could.
Right.
And they'll come along and say, you can. Let me redirect you. And they take the redirection because they don't have that positive male influence in their circle. And so when I come along, even with my relatives, my nieces and nephews, they take to me. Uncle Kenny, you want to go out and play ball? Yes. You want to watch the game? Yes. Let's watch BET. You like Oval Office? You like the Sisters? Let's watch the Sisters.
I'm waiting for it to come back on.
Yeah, I can't wait either. You know, you know what I mean? And I take to them, and they'll say, you know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Right.
Because they're from the South, and they're like, you know, teach me about Jersey,
right?
Or teach me about East Orange. You know, and I came up in the area to be seen and not heard. And so now that I have a voice, I go to people who are not heard and turn it around for them. And I've done Jesus's work. Now, it's not always met with peaches and cream. I get some resistance too. But as a former gang member, I understand where they're coming from. You know what I mean? I understand where they're coming from. But they just want someone to listen.
Right. Right.
And they tell me the story. They tell me some horrific stuff, and I can't talk about it because that's pastoral care. It's confession. They don't know they're talking to a minister until I say I'm a minister. They say, oh, wow, I don't believe in God. Well, do you believe in yourself? Yes. Were you born of the womb? Yes. Then you were placed there by God. And they said, I never thought of it like that. Of course. So that's how I zero in on our young people.
If you are just joining us, I am your girl, your host, RenaeThaDiva, and we are on Let's Talk About It, a weekly podcast where we actually come on and we discuss things going on in our nation, our community, and even worldwide. I do have with me special guest tonight, Mr. Kenneth Brown of SEDM. He is just explaining to me some of his ministry, his passion, and kind of the work he does in his community as well. So before we go any further, let me do this. I want to again ask everyone to like, share, and follow RenaeThaDiva, RenaeThaDiva on all social media and on the YouTube channel. And then Legacy Entertainment Studios is also on all social media and the YouTube channel as well. Make sure you're liking, sharing, and following for important updates. If you like to sponsor our shows, you can do so. You can send us an email at legacyentstudios@gmail.com. And someone will get back with you as soon as possible with our sponsorship packages. If you would like to maybe be a guest on my show, and I am inviting the politicians, especially here in Indianapolis, worldwide, to kind of discuss what's going on in our nation, the voting, the bills that are being passed, Roe versus Wade being reversed even. There's so many things that we can discuss, and I would like to invite you onto this platform if you're about positive change, if you're a positive change agent. So that is that, not putting that out of the way, but in the way. Just lastly, I want to say on this part, before I get back with Kenneth, who is our special guest, there has got to be some kind of resolve. So I'm talking to the Indiana politicians now, the Indianapolis politicians. These young people need things to do. You have closed down a lot of their mediums. They need things to do. They are talking about arresting, fining, towing vehicles, people that are organizing, participating, or promoting these street takeovers is what we call them here. Back in my day, there used to be a place where we can go, like in the suburbs or out and about, and do racing of motorcycles. People came out and showed their vehicles, what they worked hard for, what they were proud of. And it was all done in clean, good fun. You didn't have to worry about someone getting shot, someone getting hurt. And this past weekend, we had an instance where there were 4 different takeovers that took place at the same time. And these young men and women that are organizing these things are ingenious. You have to think about it. They are putting together events that are bringing hundreds, close to 1,000 people together at one time for the mission of enjoyment of vehicles or racing or just hanging out. So do I think that these things can be dangerous? Of course. If you have someone that are driving these vehicles that don't know what they're doing, of course it can be dangerous. We have seen videos all over social media where people have been hurt for being too close to people doing these spin outs or what have you. this past weekend, what is causing the council people here to want to press charges or want to have their vehicles towed or ensue fines is that, there were some police vehicles and police attacked during these takeovers. So there's got to be a resolve. I wish that we could have the organizers and our councilmen come together to figure out a safe way to do this and have the proper permits or whatever the city is asking. Of course, it's going to be about dollars. So, Kenneth, do you have anything like that goes on there in South Carolina?
Of course. It's like the young people need a place to go. Mm-hmm. And they've addressed it for the most part, but still, and this happened recently, I would say probably in the last 2 months, if you have a young man that is 16 years of age and had access to a Uzi, it just goes to a pool party and just starts shooting the place up, then there's a problem. Right. So the sheriff who has been our sheriff now for more than 30 years, being very proactive with the situation. But he did say recently, and this is before the situation with Appalachia that happened down in Georgia, he was like, I'm going to charge these parents for the actions of their children. Then this horrific situation happens, so now he's back to the drawing board. He's going to get the support he needs. But our young people need something to do. And when we come together when situations like that, and then it stops, there's no continuous work. So I hit the trail running, and I'm going to be putting something together for these young people. And one of the local parks or the recreation centers playing basketball. I love playing basketball. But not just that, just having a conversation with them, meet them where they are, get inside their head and tell them there's going to be more than just shooting up your friend because of a rivalry that happened at school and now it's spilling over. But the sheriff here is very, very strong about that. He's tackling the gang problem. He's tackling the issues. But he did say, your kids are at home, they're in a safe environment. But when they come out on the street, they answer to me, which is true. Mm-hmm. But it's very, very proactive. And he's going to these community meetings and he's saying, this is what needs to happen. I need the parents to be accountable. And he's going to hold to that. So we'll find a way. God will find a way for us to be safe.
So speaking of that, do you think it's more a matter of parenting not really happening in the home and these kids are going outside of the home and acting out? Or do you think that there are things going on inside of the home that are causing these kids to actually go out and lash out outside of the home?
It's a combination of both. You know what I'm saying? But the parents now are not parents anymore. There's a very bad expletive said about parents. Parents are now becoming grandparents at the age of 30 and 40.
Yes.
Big mama gone.
Yes.
Okay. Now they have a microwave mentality versus the oven mentality. Now y'all catch that now before you go home.
There you go.
Okay. Now with that being said, there's no discipline there. And I was very hard on my children. I have a twin son and daughter. And I'm very hard on them, even to this day. And I would talk to my daughter like she was a dude and say, this is what you're going to run into. And she's ran into a couple of brick walls. Mm-hmm. Okay, so with that being said, they're good children. They're going on. They have family members of their own. They have families.
Right.
But again, in that era where I'm not your friend, I'm your father. We're not going to be. That ain't going to happen. We'll have friendly moments. You know what I mean? And the mother of my children, we never married. The DNA of my children, the chalice, agreed with me. So I see it now happening. Mm-hmm. And the young people in my family will say, bruh, I'm your uncle. I'm Uncle Kenneth, Mr. Brown, if you're nasty. But you're not going to talk to me like I'm one of your friends. I'm not your friend. Because remember, I put the belt to you when you were 6.
Right.
I can put the belt to you now. Because you still a child of me. Well, Unc, why you got to be like that, man? Because I said so. And it's not subject to negotiation. So I think what's happening is with the loss of the male figure in the family and our women are having to raise these children, there is a lack of or absence of a strong male figure, whether they're black, white, Puerto Rican, it doesn't matter. There's a lack of strong male subjects in the group. And what they do is they take it out on moms. They go out in the street, they find the gangster that believes in them, teaches them the wrong way, and they end up committing crimes. And it all goes back to the parent. So if I have a child out of wedlock with someone, I need to lock horns with the woman that had this children, not my baby mama. That don't fly with me, okay? Or baby daddy.
Right.
It's that child's father or mother. Because according to the book of Exodus, and when you look at the 10 Commandments, you honor your mother and your father, not baby daddy.
Right.
So your days will be long. So because the males are being eliminated and assassinated, okay, and emasculated, they turn to drugs, alcohol, whatever, and they don't want to be bothered anymore. Well, when you have intercourse with a woman and you've entered her temple, she's saying yes, and you have that responsibility. If you did not want that responsibility, use a condom. Okay? If you did not want the responsibility, but if you have the responsibility, then be responsible for your responsibility. It's pretty simple.
That's it.
You know what I mean? We could talk about that for,
we could. You know we could.
You know what I mean?
Because, I definitely would have to speak on, the women even also. You chose to lay down with a man in most cases, and have a child by him. You know the chances of you having a child with a person that you have unprotected intercourse with, to keep it PG, since we're on social media and I don't want to get banned.
Right.
But there's a chance that you can become impregnated.
Right.
Unless you are medically unable, which is, that happens too. But there are other things, I always tell my children, and all my children are grown too. So, but I always tell my children, there are worse things to worry about other than just being pregnant or impregnating someone. There are things you can get, if you're dealing with a person, and it could be your first encounter with intercourse. You can get things that you can't get rid of ever in life. So you just really have to be careful. And it's so unfortunate. I know I saw something going on in Houston right now. Their STD rates are rising. And this is not just in the youth. This is amongst grown adults, like over the age of 20, 30, and 40, and even in their 50s. And I'm like, and I have been married before, and it's just scary, even thinking about trying to date someone again, or having to learn someone all over again and their past, because, that does definitely play a factor, not only their past, but their family upbringing, because not only are you marrying them, you're marrying their childhood memories and traumas that weren't healed. So
I understand why our women folk take the 90 to 180 day rule. I get that. Mm-hmm. But when I was dating, I took the 180 day rule. I would get to that person's bathroom and I'm looking for the prep.
That's it.
I would get to that person's bathroom and looking for the ointment to take care of what they carry around like luggage, the STD. Mm-hmm. I'm looking, right? But I still would take that time to get to know this person, and they would be on their cell phone all the time. And I would say, can we have a conversation, please? And they put the cell phone down. And we would have family time, and I'm trying to develop it. But what happens is the representative disappears, and the true person comes out. Because you spend an enormous amount of time for them, you start understanding their patterns. So I can respect women who do that. And like you said, you meet someone, you don't know anything about this person, and you're healing from another relationship. He's healing from another relationship. Well, I hate to talk about my own kind, but I'm going to say this. Men don't heal. We hunt. Right. And so when we subsequently hunt, we're looking for everything that we can find. Well, young fools become old fools quick. Male and female. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Renee, we could be born on the same day, same hour, same minute. And the moment you come out of the womb, you're already 10 years ahead of me. Okay? You are the hare. Yeah. I am the man. I'm the tortoise. But you are the reason why there's life in this world. So why are we calling them B and H? Exactly. When they simply should be saying, Miss, ma'am, can we have a conversation? Oh, excuse me, miss, what's your name? Versus the things that are said that we can't repeat. Exactly. That's because we don't care about our women anymore. We see them as objects versus conversation pieces.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Is it before even sexuality gets involved? Let's have a conversation. Let's go out to dinner. You know, let's dress up and go out.
Right.
So when we dress up and take someone out to dinner, they're like, wow, I've never done this before. Or he's never opened the door for me before. Wait a minute. Chivalry ain't dead, sweetie.
Exactly.
This
It's like,
is how it works. This is how it works at KB Manor. This is how it works at KB's world.
But it just makes you really question, again, a person's upbringing. How were you not, or were you not taught, how to be chivalrous? Were you not taught? Well, okay. We can talk about this forever today because, there's so many different aspects to this we can go. But, right. Even in speaking, from experience, because of my fathers, being around, I was taught to not expect anything less than that, than for a man to be chivalrous. But at the same time, I was also taught that the women's to be the help meet. It's just being in today's society that we have, in a lot of cases, become the heads of the households. Because even if there is a man present in some cases, the woman is still carrying the load.
That's true. What I do is simply this, and this is before I was looking for the perfect woman. But the perfect woman was carrying the 12th rib. Mm-hmm. And I didn't know it.
Yeah.
Okay, like Eve, she's waiting for the Boaz. That's not going to work. That's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
What happens is in the equally yoked process, this is what I do if I'm meeting somebody new. I'll stick down 2 wine glasses at my house, and I'll fill a half a glass of wine, and I'll say, quid pro quo. And she'll say, what's that? I said, well, you tell me things, and I'll tell you things, the truth and the dare without the dare. I slide the glass forward. Ask me any question. Are you married? No, I'm not. Have you been married? Yes. Next question. It's my turn. Are you married? Yes. Then why are you here? I'm looking for the side piece. This is what I do. I get up and I open the door. Have a good evening.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? That's just an example. The next person that comes along, after 2 or 3 weeks of trying to figure out what I just went through, I'll say, okay, and same thing. We're out to dinner. Quid pro quo. What's that? You tell me things. What's your question? Are you married? No. And then she said to me, ask me the question through me. Ask you what question? Just continue and then ask me the question. And I'd known her for a while, right?
Mm-hmm.
Known her for a while. So she said, ask me the question. I get it. Will you go out with me? Will you be my girlfriend? And she said, that is the question that you should have asked me, right? So when I said, I got down on one knee in the restaurant. Will you be my girlfriend? And she said, that's never happened. I thought that happens in marriages. No, it happens at the initiation of courtship. Whoa. She was like, you just hit me between the eyes. I said, there's a whole lot more coming, honey. Just stick around.
That's right.
For a bit. You know what I mean? Hang out with me for a minute. And so she got to know who I am, and I got to know who she is, and we have a great relationship because we take the time to talk to each other.
Communication is key, 120%. Yes.
Okay. So that is the beginning of the new beginning that we should be as a people. Right. Men should treat their women with respect. My grandmother said to me before she passed away, if you ever put your hand on a woman, I'm going to chase you with a spiritual hatchet, and I'm going to cut your hands off. That's not what I taught you. I taught you respect. Mm-hmm. And I can hear her saying that right now before she passed. And my grandfather teaching me how to dress and dress up. So tell me something, as a woman, as being the expert, a man that's well-dressed, clean-cut, smells good, rules the room, has a fly ride, but is not thinking about the money, is not thinking about sex, but wants conversation. Is or is that not a turn-on to most females?
So I'll answer that in two ways.
Okay.
For a grown woman, that's a good thing. That's a turn-on. For a woman that is possibly broken or searching for what she feels she may be missing or does not have a true representation of love, no. And the reason why I say that is because I have met females or heard women say, well, he doesn't want to sleep with me right away. He must be gay. Or he must be in the closet, or he must be secretly crazy, or what have you. And then my question has always been to that woman, do you know what love is? Do you know what compassion is? Do you know what companionship is? Do you know what friendship is? Do you know what loyalty is? And I can honestly say I have experienced both sides of things. I've experienced being with a narcissist, married to one, and then I've also experienced being with a man that showed true agape.
Okay.
So,
all right. So let's take it from there, based on what you just presented to me. Because again, you're the expert on being a female. I'm not. So I'll approach it like this. Why are you hurt? Or why are you in my business? Okay. I won't ask any more questions. So what do you desire of me? For me to leave you alone? Good. Have a good rest of your evening. Next person comes along. Okay. But then they always circle back because I was not unkind. I always open the door. Right. And they'll say, KB, Kenneth, Mr. Brown, I am so sorry. I was having a bad day. That's fine. We're all given that. And she has a conversation and she says, the reason why I just had a bad breakup and my husband really, I said, why don't you think about a year to heal?
Right.
I'm going to always be here. I may be with someone else, but I'm going to be your friend.
Right.
Would you like to be my friend? And they'll say yes. So my approach is always going to be on a spiritual side first.
Right.
Again, I'm not thinking about anything else. I'm trying to zero in. I'm going to share this with you. I'm trying to zero in underneath the lace front. I'm trying to get to the synapses, that thing that fire off your thoughts. I'm trying to get past that lace front. I'm trying to get past that wig. I want to get underneath that and get inside your brain and have a eargasm. What's an eargasm? An opportunity for me to tell you what I believe is going to be the end all, the be all of this relationship. And then they respect your opinion along the way.
There you go. There you go.
That's it. That's it.
And, it goes back to, and, I'm old school in the fact that, I looked up to elders, and before I became married or looking to get married, I would always ask them, how do you make a marriage last? And, I won't say that infidelity didn't happen during their time of marriage. I won't say that, abuse may not have even happened, but the mentality was different. They were more apt to get help for their situations. And then they had the determination that together they would work it out. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying at all stay in an abusive situation because Lord knows I got out of it. I was insane. But, it goes back to then too, before you get married, before you say I do, because we are in such a microwave society, people meet you and 2 weeks later they want to live with you. And I tell my kids this, they laugh at me, and they'll probably, if they are watching, or they'll comment later and say, yes, she did tell us that. You need to know if someone's breath is tart in the morning before you decide to say I do. You need to see them in all kinds of situations. You need to see them in a situation of loss. You need to see them in a situation of being angry and upset. You need to see them in a situation of being hurt. You need to see them in their happiest times. You need to see them in all different kinds of situations before you decide that that's the person you're going to commit to.
Okay, let's add to that. According to the vow, the ritual, for richer, for poorer, for better, for worse.
Yes.
In his sickness and in health. So those questions are answered up front. Here's what needs to happen. We need to go to counseling.
There you go.
We need to have a conversation with someone that's got the MD, PhD in theology, pastor, bishop, elder, and talk about now what the pastor, bishop, and elder will do. Will give you to someone that's got the MD and the licensed clinical psychologist degree behind them. So we can tear apart what's going on. If we're able to handle situations now on the front end, then those challenges that come up are funny. Because I'm going to try to make light of it because it's already serious enough. Now, was I always like this? Oh, no. I used to call B, H, and get away from me, and this, and this, and this, and that. I was terrible. I was god-awful. My mom said, did I raise this child?
Right.
And she would ask that question. And when I finally came around to manhood, because I let some things go, she came to my place. She said, you are the neatest child I have. She said, how is it that you don't have clothes everywhere? I said, because it is organized chaos.
Mm-hmm.
No one is expecting it to look this way. I'm OCD real bad. I fold my t-shirts and stuff at 6 inches.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But I'm cognizant that when I have a guest, that's how I treat them, even though I'm dating them. Right? So you have to take that same mentality to the relationship and be subservient sometimes. Brother, it's okay to cry. Your brothers, guess what? It's okay to say no. That's how you feel. Or, you're right, Queen. And I did this the other day. Your Majesty. And she looked at me before I opened the doors in the car. I said, Your Majesty. She said, Your Grace. Whoa.
Powerful.
Okay.
Yeah, that's powerful.
You're going with that. Mm-hmm. That's powerful. Mm-hmm. Because I acknowledged her as a queen, because on the chessboard, she can move across it. I can only move one step at a time. However, I'm the one that gets the checkmate. So I need her.
Right.
That's it. I need her to protect me. But I'm protecting her because I'm the lion. And this last point, I'm on the same lines with relationships. 4 P's. Mm-hmm. You pray, you protect like a lion, and I'm a lion. You profess, tell the truth. Mm-hmm. You provide, you take care of that household. Because if the household ain't happy and mama ain't happy, ain't nobody happy.
There you go.
And with a lot of T's behind it.
Dot. Yes.
Right, exactly.
And thank you, Kenneth, just for again coming on and sharing your knowledge with us. We have just definitely been enlightened. We could talk for hours and hours and hours and hours on end, of course. But before we go, I want to say thank you again for watching. Make sure you're liking, sharing, following Legacy Entertainment Studios, RenaeThaDiva, and also SEDM. Tell them how they can get in contact with you.
I am on TikTok under KB. Under Facebook, Kenneth Brown, parentheses, KB. I'm under Instagram with Sphinxman Protectors LLC. That's my bodyguard company. So Sphinxman, SPHINXMEN Protectors LLC. And that is pretty much me in reference to being able to reach out to me. If you send me a message, give me about 24 hours, I will respond to you. I'm usually on Facebook quite a little bit, promoting and helping other businesses. And of course, under Google, simply look for Kenneth Brown. And you search me out, I will vet you, find out what's going on, what's really going on. Mm-hmm, and, I have an opportunity to reach out, see what your page is like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, and go from there.
For sure. Yeah. Now, we didn't talk about it. But I am looking forward to your screenplay actually becoming a movie. And I'll leave it at that.
Yes. I'm actually working on that. I've been, very fortunate in that realm. And, I'm blessed. I'm humbled with that. It's not about the money. It never has been. I come from a family of haves, mm-hmm. but we give to the have-nots so that the have-nots have. Because we can't take that fortune with us. And I don't brag or boast about that because, you got some zeros, and that's nice. But see, if you don't do people right, I could be in a situation like Diddy. And I don't want to be that. And I'm going to say this. Access to $999 million, you wouldn't be able to find me. You would be able to find me, Renee. Hey, Kenneth, where are you? Right. I'm in Turks and Caicos. I'm hanging out here. And I'm having a good time, and I'm hanging out with Cassie. Mm-hmm. But first of all, Cassie would be 19. Cassie would be 39. You know what I'm saying?
That part,
That part. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, it's just a perspective. But, it's just, money doesn't make me. Right. What makes me is matters of the heart.
And
that's where I would conclude there.
I was going to say, that's definitely one of the reasons why I think, even years ago, we even connected because of the fact that you are very much a humble person. Though you could brag, plentiful. I definitely appreciate your spirit, your camaraderie, and your good sense of character and people. I love that you work with people, and that I wish you the best in everything that you are doing. Of course, we are just starting to hit the ground running with what we are doing together, and I look forward to growth. I look forward to seeing, you know, your lady become your missus. You know, we talk about
Me
that.
too.
Mm-hmm,
Me
mm-hmm.
too. Me too. I do. I care deeply about her, and I respect her opinion and her queenship.
Yes.
But a man cannot be with a woman unless he respects her opinion.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? And she knows I respect her deeply. But I tell her every day, I love you, because I don't know if that's the last day.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because God will come along and he will take you. And you don't want your last conversation to be an argument. You want to resolve it. And I never go into the next day with bad vibes. I will call at 11:59 and say, I apologize for my actions. And she will say, it wasn't you, it was me. I apologize on behalf of the brothers. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And she starts laughing, and she said, you know, you silly. And I said, you know what? You just woke up. You sound like one of the brothers.
Look, for us deep voice women, because you know,
right. You know, she sound like Barry White. And I
that's
was like,
it. That's okay.
What's going on here? I said, wait a minute. Are you one of the honeys? And she said, Katie, you silly. I said, well, you know, I just want to check because you sound like one of the brothers. I want to make sure. You know what I mean? And she starts laughing, and I said, you know, what I try to do is I make light of it. Yes, and I have her, and we giggle. We giggle like children.
That's what it's about. I mean? Yes.
Yeah, you have to laugh at yourself, and I'm going to be the first one to crack myself out. I'll just say funny things. And she was like, where did you get that from? I said, I just think funny stuff. And she said, something's wrong with you. And I said, yeah, it is. You know, I love me. You know what I mean? So, you know, but I would love to come back.
Good stuff. For sure.
Love to deep dive. I'd love to deep dive one of our conversations we had today.
For sure. You know, that's definitely going to come. Okay. So if you are just joining us, or if you are coming in on the tail end of things, this is Let's Talk About It, a weekly podcast. I am your host, RenaeThaDiva. We have with us tonight special guest, Mr. Kenneth Brown, via the phone. We couldn't get him on with technology, and it's okay. Life happens, but he is here. And we have been discussing a wide variety of things, including what's going on in our cities, our states, and even in our country. I will encourage you again to make sure you are registered to vote. You can go to govote.com and look up your state information and make sure that you are registered, or you can check with your city county recorder's office or city county office, and they can tell you if you are registered as well and where you would even go vote. It was a right that has been fought for. I will never tell you who to vote for, but I will tell you to vote. So for next week, we will have a special guest coming on. We will have Mr. Con Mori from Venue GPS. If you have not researched this company, oh my gosh, be prepared to be blown away. But you can go to venuegps.com, and they are in both app stores, Google and Apple. So make sure you go out and download the app, and he will be on live next week. This has been your girl, RenaeThaDiva. Again, thank you to special guest, Mr. Kenneth Brown. I'll say goodbye for now. Take care. Bye.